Hey, it's Marks Washington, MTC Media here at Xfinity Center. I know you won't see this. I know we're not supposed to talk about time because you want this to be this illusion that everything is being done right now. We are a little bit for about 2 hours and 40 minutes before tip. So it's calm of before the storm. You see all the gold T-shirts on the chairs. It's a gold out. This is supposed to be sold out tonight. I think there was a smattering of single seats left. Obviously, all of the student tickets have been given away here for Georgetown and Maryland. So, Georgetown a bus ride away, depending on which way you're coming on the Beltway. I know when I came on the Beltway today, there's a couple of squirrely areas. If you live in this area, you know what that is like. But this game was consummated by Ed Cooley and Kevin Willard. Willard has now since moved on to Villanova, but this is a 4-game series, and we'll get into that later. This was two coaches working together that wasn't from this area who thought it was important for the area to play the game. I'm not sure if they knew how important it was to some of the fans to play this game, but it is here. And I had a chance earlier in the week to meet with both Buzz Williams and Ed Cooley, and this is how those interviews went.
Coach, it's so early in the season, and Ed's offenses are so action-oriented. Just as a coaching staff, being new here, what does that prep looks like? Because you only have one game film. I know you do have stuff from Global Jam and stuff, but you really only have one game set of film, or are you just worried about your principles?
I would say that's a great question. Coach Cooley has always been known as an offensive savant. When he was at Providence, his play catalog, I would say, was the most of any team in the Big East when I was employed in the Big East. I have obviously watched all of the games that you're talking about, and it's my nature to want to maybe over-explain too much to our guys. But in week one, with 15 new players, I think the vote is it needs to be about us and the things that foundationally we know we want to be about. And so we're trying to bleed in some components of their personnel. We're trying to bleed in some of their core actions, not necessarily their plays, but some of the things that are interwoven in each of their plays, so that foundationally we can grow from that, not just for the importance of Friday's game, but I think we play 7 games in the next 19 days. And so we're hoping that if we can keep the focus on us using the opponent to grow our foundation, that when we get to game 6 or game 8 or game 28, there's remnants that we built it from a sustainable standpoint. But I do think that the emotion of the first home game, the emotion of the rivalry, all of those things outside of our program are very important, and they have importance within our program. But to your point, we can't give away our entire practice itinerary based on Coach Cooley's offensive prowess. But we can give attention to, they run a lot of this, they run a lot of this, they run a lot of this, and we're going to see A, B, and C in November, December, January, February, March.
And both teams are extremely physical. I know you've coached physical teams. Ed certainly has. How important are free throw attempts with where you are when you get into the bonus and rebounding?
I think that's the key to winning, no matter the name of the team and no matter the name of the opponent. They shot 39 free throws on Monday night. I believe they shot 25 free throws in Lexington. I think they shot 19 free throws versus George Washington. Number 2, number 5, number 25 get fouled at an ultra high rate. Number 5 was top 5% in the country last year in getting fouled. He is elite downhill, and arguably the most physical 6'4" guard in the country that we'll face this month. But his game is somewhat predicated on downhill, which is where he gets fouled. I think 25 gets fouled at a very high rate. Number 2 has a little bit of anything he wants, all 3 levels, but a part of his points per possession is for sure his free throw attempt rate. I think the one thing that we have to pay attention to is number 3 gets fouled. I anticipate he will be one of the leading forwards in regards to free throws in the Big East this year. I know he played in the Big East last year, but not trying to distinguish between Coach Pitino or Coach Cooley. A lot of what I'm seeing they're doing with number 3 leads to him getting fouled. He was 8 of 9 at Kentucky, I believe. Yeah. And so can we defend without fouling will be a big part of can we win a game. Not Georgetown, any game. We fouled more times on Monday night than Coppin fouled us. That's not a good start. I know that's a subliminal stat, but we're going to have to defend without fouling because a lot of our fouls, we can't guard the ball, and so we just foul, and it leads to free points for the opponent. So that is one of the things that will be a part of what I talk about today and show. And so it applies to Georgetown, but it applies forward. We're not near as physical as we're going to have to be. Our nature is to watch the ball. Our nature is, I think you're going to do it instead of I need to do it. And so we've got to continue to make progress. We have some physical players. We don't have enough physicality when the ball is in the air. All 3 of our contests thus far, we have lost the physicality part. Coppin State was more physical than us. They rebounded 25% of their misses. That's not a good stat. And so with the physicality on Friday, which will be more than I anticipate we've had thus far, our physicality is going to have to continue to improve. But some of that is gaining traction. I do think our guys are understanding what we're asking of them. Our execution of that physicality is not as consistent as we're going to need it to be, but we have made some traction. We were better Monday night in that regard than we were the previous Monday night. And so we need to be markedly better on Friday than we were Monday in that regard.
Jumped out at you about Maryland on film. I know you're familiar with Buzz from his other stops, but kind of what is their MO that you have to deal with?
Well, they do a great job, turning you over. I mean, they get to the foul line a lot. They're relentless on the offensive glass. They have a really good switching defense where they identify, when they can switch, how they can switch. They do a great job helping one another. You can see as the season is going on that they're going to get better and better, right? They probably haven't been as healthy as they wanted to be, right? So they've had some guys out, but that's also allowed other guys to step up and put them in a role to create some depth for them. So, Payne is, he's going to be a handful. Adams is a really, really good freshman, left-handed player from up in New England that came with him from Texas A&M. Turkson, another, rough rider. Like he's got a really, really good team, and we got our hands full when we go into that building on on Friday.
Have you noticed any differences between what he's done early on at Maryland and what he's done at A&M or at Virginia Tech, or is it's kind of the same?
I mean, again, he has a culture that carries. He's a phenomenal coach, great motivator. He's very connected to his players, very connected to his staff. He's probably learning, how to live in this DMV area. You know what I'm saying? So that can take away some of the things. But on the court, his kids seem to have his identity and his will and his passion.
And what is it like for you guys to go into a building that that's going to be sold out and it's going to be loud and raucous? And where is this team at with dealing with adversity with that?
Well, we it's a reason why we went and played at GW. that was sold out. It's the reason why we went to Kentucky. That was sold out to prepare our team for this game in particular, to prepare us when we go to Carolina, to prepare us when we go to Florida, right? So we've done that systematically, play those games in the global jams. You know, the great crowds were up there, but the last two venues we played in have been sold out. Hopefully our players feel a little bit comfortable in that environment.
When we come back, we will talk a little bit about the rivalry between it, if you want to call it that. This is Marcus Washington, MTC Sports.
Hey, this is Marcus Washington over here at MTC Media and Communications. I know that you know me from all of my sports coverage, especially college basketball, but MTC Media and Communications is so much more than just sports coverage. We provide UX UI services, content management, data analytics, accessibility, Section 508, website management, content creation, and so much more. So be sure that you hit us up with all of your needs so we can provide you a top-notch service that you deserve.
Hey, welcome back. And again, you know, this is a rivalry in terms of distance. Obviously, these two teams have not played for a while. This is a start of a 4-game series. It'll mark the first time that this game's been played since November 15th of 2016, and that was down at the Verizon Center as part of the Gavitt games at that time being. Now, overall, Maryland does lead the series 38-27. There's been a handful of games. They've also won the last 3 of the 4, but again, that's broken up, you know, because of the infrequency of this game. Probably the moment, and I know you can pick out many moments, so if Maryland fans was to kill me for bringing this up, you can kill me. But 1993 was a high point for Maryland in this series, where Joe Smith scores to 26 points. Simpkins hits the game winner in overtime. That was a season where Maryland ends up being in the AP top 25. They end up going to the Sweet 16 that season. And they're right, it jump-started 11 straight trips to the NCAA tournament that season alone. And for Georgetown, back in 1980, the Hoyas eliminated Maryland in the East Regional up at Philadelphia, 74-68. Sleepy Floyd led the Hoyas with 18 points, and that Maryland team had both Albert King and Buck Williams on it. So they beat a good one. But here are what the coaches have to and players have to say about the rivalry itself.
Well, I mean, let's face it, man, we're still trying to gain some momentum. We're still trying to build our program, right? You know, Buzz is in the same thing. He's in year 1. I think they have 12 or 13 new players, right? I think we're both trying to fight for the same thing, and that's one win. I don't want a future trip and look forward. I think it'll be great if we're able to do that, continue to build our program in the right way, right? We're not going to put a heavy emphasis on it if we win it or if we lose it. Did we get better? Are we improving? Are we moving the needle toward where we want to be in March? This game is all about setting us up to be a tournament-worthy team in March with a non-conference incredible opponent on the road.
I mean, it feels great. We want to prove a point. We're the best in this area and make sure that we make a statement this game. So this is a very important game for us, and we're taking it.
I heard the games used to get crazy, and I heard that it was fun. It was always loud in the gyms, and that it just means a lot to the community to get this type of win. Even this game coming back, I know that it's been some years since the rivalry has, the games have been going on. So I would say that was the biggest thing when the game was scheduled and we heard we was playing Georgetown. When I was coming here, I was just like, oh, okay. And then every time I would see a fan or any parent or any person around the campus, they always talked about this game. That's when I realized, like, oh, maybe something going on here. And obviously, just doing your homework and trying to understand more about obviously a Maryland culture, College Park. This is something that comes up for a good amount. So
I've read a lot about it since the last question I had. I don't really remember much of it. I remember all of the coaches. I remember some of the players. I remember there was an issue with coach and coach. I didn't know that there had been such wide gaps of decades of not playing, but a portion of that is probably.
This is Marcus Washington from MTC Media Sports. You know all of our coverage. We're from college basketball to the NFL to boxing to Major League Baseball. You name the sport, we cover it. So I get asked the question all the time, where can we get that information? And I always say, follow us on social media. Here is our social media spots. It will point you to all of our information. And look, man, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on Substack. Give us a little love. We always appreciate all the feedback and support that you give us.
Hey, welcome back. Georgetown-Maryland Preview here. Earlier in the week, obviously, Georgetown had player availability. Grabbed a few interviews, Isaiah Abraham, Caleb Williams, and then Kayvon Mulready. Enjoy.
I noticed that you were putting the ball on the floor all throughout the summer and even the other night with more confidence, more definitive. Is that something because guys are going to crowd you, something that you felt like you had to get better at?
Yeah, I would say last year was more so just me trying to be a ball mover. This year I'm trying to take the opportunities when I get them to attack the gaps and keep the defense on the heels. So, I mean, I think it's something that's always been a part of my game, but definitely something I'm focusing on, just being more aggressive.
Defensively, when you start getting prepared for Maryland, obviously there's a difference between Maryland and Morgan State. Do you feel like that you're more locked in, just kind of like more of ready to get going for a game of this magnitude?
I would say you get more excited for games like Maryland, especially being a local kid. But I mean, how it should be is that you look at every opponent the same. But no, I would say you definitely get more excited for these type of games. Atmosphere.
Growing up in this area, is there a particular memory that you have from Georgetown, Maryland, or you just know the guys in the different spots?
Yeah, I mean, I just remember going to a bunch of Georgetown games, seeing guys like Matthew Brown play. And then I went to a lot of, my uncle was actually a UAB fan before I committed to Georgetown. So I was at a bunch of Maryland games as well, saw guys like Melo Temple and stuff like that. So just being around the atmosphere, seeing how live College Park gets for UAB basketball, I'm excited to get there.
Question.
Hey, talk a little bit about your development coming from Highland. I know you had the pit stop in UConn to hear. Just how has your game grown in that time period?
I mean, I would just say I started with defense. Defense was the main thing. Coming from UConn, I just wanted to prove that I could defend at the highest level, all their positions, and score all 3 whether it's shooting threes, getting to the basket, or pulling up for a little mid-range. Just expanding my game in those categories.
And what has that process looked like? Like, who has helped you? How have they helped you? And where are you in your journey with improving your offense?
I would say the whole coaching staff here has been doing a great job with just helping me get shots up. Managers around here just always been available to get shots up whenever. Just hit them up. Be in the gym and get just a whole bunch of shots up. That's a lot. And then in practice, our physicality and our toughness in practice is helping with the defensive side and everything. So yeah.
PVI and Takeover, you guys have so many good players that you get used to playing a role. How has that helped you on the college level? Because college here on this level also is more of a role-based environment.
Exactly. I just feel like playing a role so early on in your career can help you expand your game a lot. Most people who get a role, they kind of are centralized and only just doing this thing where you just do all these little things right, and then being great in your role can make you look 10 times better on the court. So I feel like Takeover, Highland, PVI, all these organizations, especially in UConn and here, all my pit stops along the way on my journey has been helping me to get to this point.
And I know you do some training during the summer over at MVM Training. Just talk about that environment where you come in, maybe Deshaun comes in, Nate Ament. It's just a whole bunch of guys who are on your level, and then international guys coming that's playing overseas. Just what does those games look like during the summer when y'all are playing some pickup?
I mean, it's a great environment. It's competitive as hell. We get in there and we just compete at the highest level. We bring all the aspects that we've learned from college, our programs, different, variations of the game, and just bring it all together and try to compete, and then work on the stuff that we're not really that great at, and then we just bring it to here and bring it to places like this. So I think Chauncey Beckett has done a great job with the MVM program, and everybody who comes through there is their time to shine.
Defensively, where do you think that you can get better?
I reach a lot, I gamble a lot. I have good hands, but I do gamble. I'll try to get the first pass, let me get through the passing lane. Sometimes I gotta just back up and let the defense mess up. Try not to force it too much. I don't know, I think I'm a pretty good defender, I'm not gonna lie. But as a team, probably just be even more physical, more disciplined, for sure.
And how is your journey, speaking of journeys, of going from a secondary ball handler to be a primary ball handler? Even in the Kentucky game, I think you had 2 or 3 possessions where you were the guy bringing it up against a little bit of pressure. Just how have you learned that position and having your ball handling skills to be at a point on this level where you can grow into being a primary ball handler?
Yeah, so growing up, I was always the point guard, actually. But then coming from last year, I just had to find new ways to stay on the court. And if it meant to learn something that I was uncomfortable with for a while, like being a primary ball handler, that's just something I had to learn. To the point this whole summer, I was in the gym a lot with Coach Ballard, and now it's something that's just uncomfortable with now.
And you talked about last year with all the injuries, being a freshman stuff, just how important it is from a mental standpoint of being able to have your mental health in a spot to actually deal with some of the changes from going from high school to college.
Yeah, mental standpoint, mental issue is definitely real. It took a big toll on me. I lost a lot of confidence last year. Again, I was hurt. It felt like nothing was going right. When I mentally got better and I took that more serious, that's when I did stuff like take myself out of the portal and see stuff in a different perspective. And yeah, the mental is definitely a big thing.
Hey, this is Marcus Washington over here at MTC Media and Communications. I know that you know me from all of my sports coverage, especially college basketball. But MTC Media and Communications is so much more than just sports coverage. We provide UX UI services, content management, data analytics, accessibility, Section 508, website management, content creation, and so much more. So be sure that you hit us up with all of your needs so we can provide you a top-notch service that you deserve.
Welcome back. So, look, as we get closer to tip off here, keys of the game, we're going to start with turnovers. First of all, Maryland's going to put pressure in the backcourt. So how much does that force Malik Mack to play on the ball? If you've seen Georgetown during the offseason and all the things, Global Jam, the exhibitions, even against Morgan State, having Mack having these chunk of minutes, being the secondary ball handler and playing off the ball while KJ Lewis or Deshaun Harris-Smith, a couple times it was Kayvon Mulready, Jeremiah Williams, being the primary. Does Maryland force Malik to do both? Because last season at times, doing both, being a scorer, being the primary ball handler against pressure, had worn down Malik Mack. So does Maryland try to do that? Because like I said, the pressure's going to come. Does KJ Lewis have the confidence and the effectiveness to be the primary ball handler? Does Jeremiah Williams have it? Deshaun Harris-Smith and Kayvon Mulready, they're more secondary ball handlers who will bring it up. But believe you me, I would suspect that if they do see this, and they do see this a lot, that Buzz and his crew are going to pressure them even more, maybe even trap them, do something like that, because they know the ball handling, those two aren't really primary ball handlers. Can Maryland deal with Georgetown's pressure when they go zone press? Georgetown loves that 1-2-2, that 2-1-2 zone press. They'll play a little bit of man, full court, but it's mainly that 1-2-2, sometimes 2-1-2 zone pressure where they'll slow you down. They'll get some turnovers out of it, but really it's kind of to mess up your offensive flow, right? Now you're getting it across half court. Maybe you're finally getting to your offense at the 13-second, 12-second mark when you truly get into it. That's where that press can be very, very effective, along with the turnovers. But it's not just trying to, we're pressing to force turnovers. This isn't, 8th grade basketball. It's not AAU. There are many functions of doing that. So does the ball pressure get one of these two teams tonight? Rebounds. And it's more than the rebound count. Both of these teams need to get the 50-50 rebounds. Now, you might say Georgetown's bigger, a little bit stronger. But then you can say Maryland's a little bit quicker to the ball. So those 50-50s, who gets the 50-50 rebound? Now, of course, you want to win the offense and defensive boards. Every coach wants to win that. But in a game like this where both teams can go through these little periods of not being able to make shots, and you're getting a possession within a possession, those 50-50s, especially on long rebounds, especially on juggle ball, especially when someone gets pushed under the rim, all those things, the 50-50 rebounds need to be kind of the subplot of who wins the rebounding war underneath. And I cannot stress this enough. Fouls. Both teams play uber physical. How the referees officiate this game is going to be key. Because both teams are going to bump, they're going to grind, they're going to hold, they're going to push, they're going to grab. All that's going to happen on both ends. If you have that, watch a Buzz Williams coach team and the Ed Cooley coach team, you're going to see this stuff tonight. So, one, when do you get into the bonus? Does your key players have fouls at a position where you don't have depth? Those type of things. I'm going to start with two of the most important players in this game. Pharrell Payne for Maryland and Vince Iwuchukwu for Georgetown. Those are two guys that both of these coaches, now the coach doesn't want to, neither one of the coaches want to see anyone in foul trouble, but I'm sure both of these coaches will say those are two guys on their teams that you definitely don't want to see in foul trouble. And you can say the same thing about Malik Mack over at Georgetown and Diggy over at Maryland. But man, the two inside, with how this game could be in that paint, it is very important for those two to stay out of foul trouble. So, and look, like I said, we are getting to the about the 2.5 hour mark before tip off. Probably we're still about an hour away before this place starts filling up. It is going to be an electric atmosphere. It's 6 o'clock on FS1. Please join the game. Please join me for my post-game wrap-up. I'll be here with interviews, the post-games, and a wrap-up of this game. This is Marcus Washington from MTC Sports.